What's up, guys? So this video is going to be a painting tutorial about how to do a beginner landscape, the methods I use and techniques and things like that. I'm only going to do like a one-shot take, but I'm going to try and cover trees, clouds, sky, the general layout of it, and we'll just see what I get into. Hopefully you learn something from it, and hopefully you find it relaxing as well. So thank you for joining me. So for this first part, starting with materials, this is just Bristol paper. And it should hold up just fine. It's rather thick. I also have canvas block paper, but I found this to be probably a better option. The first step for me when doing a landscape on a different material other than canvas would be to do like a gesso on it. This is Liquitex. It has Japanese on it, but that's where I got it. But it's going to work the same. So this is a little bit of a different process because not every painter does this in a landscape. But with this white gesso, I'm going to mix it with like a tint or like a color. Either if you have like acrylic ink, I'm going to try this out. I've actually never done it with the acrylic ink. But you could normally just mix it with a paint to give the bottom, the first layer of the gesso, a little bit of a tint. Historically, that's like, that would be the orangish brown a lot of painters would use back in the Renaissance and throughout history, really, just to get the base layer, that natural brown color in nature, and for skin tones. But I think for this, it's probably good. We're gonna do like some type of blue. But we'll see. I might split the color. I might do like a gradient blue and then the browns on the bottom. But that's the fun of painting. Like, you know, you have all these different options. You could break the rules. So I'm still so new to YouTube and recording. I was just checking to make sure it was on and checking my stuff, but looks good. Okay, so we have the gesso. This is just an old plate. We're gonna try this one, turquoise deep. And don't worry if you don't have all these like materials. I just have them for, like through collecting them over the years, and experimenting. Like even right now, comes in a little dropper. It's pretty cool. This is not an exact science, so like make sure you have fun with it. That's kind of cool looking. Okay. Normally for this first part I'd use a bigger brush or something more flat. This should be fine. So as I'm going, I'll explain some more of the materials. This is just jars of water, so that's an easy one. But you still do want to have your brush be wet to a degree. Oh, that's such a nice color. Oh my god. Ooh, this needs more support, so I might just put something behind it So I'm going to pause the video real quick. Perfect. Oh yeah, much better. So I'm not really too worried, even if this first part had dried a little bit. Only because this application of gesso is going to be so covered. If you need to be, you know, as this is just a bit of a warm-up, with the technique, normally you want to do the gesso as quick as possible because it'll be, you don't want it to dry inconsistently, but even that part, it should be just fine. You just want it to like do this in patches. You want to do it in sort of a quick, even coat. That's all right. And what this does too, especially if you're painting on a lighter medium, is it's going to thicken it up. It's actually applying like so, because this is so thin, you could already feel it becoming a more tactile surface for this sort of thing, which is good. That's what you want. And as much as possible, this is a kind of a bad example of it, but you want it to be, got a bigger canvas, you want it to be side to side and up and down to get it to apply evenly. If that's the effect you want, at least. Some people like their paintings more painterly or more textured. And in that case, just go crazy. Probably the next video I will gesso it first, if I even want a background. But this is just a test of sorts until I find my own specific style. Okay. So the bottom, I talked about it, how normally you do like it's like a pinkish brown bottom layer. I'm gonna blend that up into like the sky, because all the earthy tones would be down towards the bottom anyway. So we'll see what happens. So again, normally you would do paint with this. I just am having a lot of fun with this acrylic ink. And so I do like one dropper full and just am pushing it into the gesso. So, and that was a burnt sienna and like a deep violet. Okay. So even now I could feel myself being too careful because I'm recording, but we should start to loosen up pretty soon. And sort of on the pinkish side, so we're going to switch that up. And remember too, like I'm adding these colors, but this is just the gesso. This isn't even the like the additional layers. This just kind of gives it a spirit of its own that you can play on. Like its first layer already has certain textures and things like that. So how I do it too, I put my towel or whatever you want to call it, and when I'm working, I'll swipe it off. It's sort of a messy, quirky technique, but it's what I figured works for me. I usually have the painting besides a towel like that, and so when I mix the paint or with the water, I'm able to feel like what consistency the paint is really quickly, if I need it more dry, if I need it more wet. And that's sort of I actually don't hear a lot of tutorials about that, is in learning your paint and its texture and how to get it where you want it to be, especially for blending. And especially doing it quick. And I think that's something, maybe it's acrylic paint that requires you, if you really want to be doing fancy techniques with acrylic because it dries so fast. Part of the art, I think, is learning the consistency of the paint. So don't underestimate that. It's one of the big confusions for new artists. With like, what do you hear all the time? The paint's not doing what I want it to. So you have to learn to make it do what you want it to. So this is sort of a like the philosophy for me about why I like acrylic. I like oil too. I would do more oil if well, would I? You know, it's something now I'm so used to acrylic. It's just out of circumstance, and that's also the art of life. Is life presents you with an environment and what you have to work with, and you create art out of it. That's good. It's gonna get covered up more, so this will dry down a bit. And if it seems splotchy or whatnot, that's perfectly fine. This is just the first layer of gesso. Okay, So we let it dry for a second, and now the fun part. We kind of get to look, and if you see anything already, because we're not drawing with the undersketch, you could already kind of form the landscape you want in your head. My vision already going into this was like mountains and trees, something easy. And so you could already see the formation of the landscape itself with this bottom town, and like some of the trees over here, some of the clouds. And from there we're just sort of filling in the blanks. So we are letting chance play a role in the outcome, and that's sort of the special thing about landscape painting, or the special thing about art. And even in sketches and preliminary things and really high forms of art like the Renaissance painters, you know for certain some of that inspiration came from a place where they couldn't quite say, or something they just were seeing as they were drawing and painting, the mistakes of it. So let's see. I'm going to put this one aside. Dun, 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 dun. Initially, I was gonna do like a new a palette and all that stuff. I have it right here, but I'm gonna save this for smaller videos. It's like they're cheap anyway. But my style is a little bit messy, and I'm realizing it the more I'm recording, which is funny. But you know, that's how it is. So this is just a blue, I think it's cyanine, Thalus cyanine, blue-green shade. And my material, these I'm using, are just the heavy body acrylic Liquitex. It's good stuff. I'm going to mix a little bit of white into it. And for me, like active material, I set with it, or I set aside with me while I'm painting. That's like the inks, the paint, water. Actually, might need to bring the medium out next. I wonder if the mic will pick that up. Yeah, and this guy really just needs needs a makeover. Will we do some clouds? Ooh. We'll see. Yeah, let's do some clouds. Ooh, hold up, hold up. These aren't the clouds yet. I just had a nice shade of blue on there. I wanted to use it, so. It should be water. Okay. So I'm mixing gray with like a little drop of pink, and mixing that with the acrylic already on the brush. La, la, la. Okay, that's pretty good, but it needs some paint. I need to calm down on all the ink. It needs to thicken up so that I could attach a little better. So clouds are funny. You see, I just sort of applied it. It's sort of a wet acrylic. And that I figured, you know, from good old watching other videos, with oil paint is it kind of requires a wet paint, and with acrylic it dries so fast. It was so tricky to get the cloud effect until I figured out to kind of like mix the paint you're using for the cloud with a medium so it stays wet a little bit and it'll stay fluffy. And like that's such a good cloud on that side. Shit. So on this side, we'll do less clouds because I want a mountain over here. I hope you're enjoying watching because this is pretty fun for me too. I've been doing all sorts of different abstract paintings, and you know, it's easy to lose touch with your roots, and so this is nice for me to do this sort of thing as well. You know, why not? Bring it all the way down. I think the mountain's gonna be here. Oh. And just kind of dust it, play with it. Don't overthink clouds, you know. Clouds aren't thinking. Later on, I'll go back over with like a lighter tint at the bottom. Or at the top, I mean, like, you could already kind of see it. But right now, we're just dusting them in. I hope that sound isn't too annoying, but we'll see. Bum, 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 da, 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 da. I'm gonna do a little bit of highlighting just for now, just so I can see the composition better. Yeah, next video I'll probably definitely do like a canvas or a canvas board. I'll have to buy a pack because I don't like this slapping and having to hold the paper. But it's good. Like, it's good to know what it takes to do this on other mediums. Yeah. Okay. It's fun. So with this underlayer too, like the mid-tone of the mountain and some of the grass is already set. So it'll be much like a valley. So I'm trying to figure out the dark tone that I want it to be. Probably just like the burnt umber and a little bit of the violet, I think. And yeah, I am continuing to mix onto the paint I already have set. That's because I do want this to be a little bit washed out. You know what, too? We're even going to put some black in it. Just a little bit. And this is ink as well. We haven't done paint yet. And this is like the basic... The underlayers is almost like a sketch with thinned out paint, which is also a very old technique. And that way I'm not making, you know, big moves and decisions with globs of paint, Van Gogh style, and then I'm like, wait, and you can't really readjust, whereas this fun first layer gives you so much freedom. So for mountains and rocks and canyons and things, yeah, so that'll come first. Did that a little backwards, but whatever. You trust your hand. This one needs variation. Oh yeah, that was a good color choice. And like, get crazy, because I've planned the mountain, I've planned the movement, but some of the textural things that are happening now are, you know, who's to say? And then it comes this way. And it's something like I'm probably doing a poor job explaining it because it's happening so naturally. But you want these to be blended, and so some of like the thing about the acrylic as opposed to doing this in oil paint is acrylic dries so fast. So you want to keep it. You want to keep it in motion. At least that's how I typically think about it. That's a little bit high. That's fine though. I'm gonna do water after all, I think. And this is reserved for trees, like in the nature that's up close. Yeah, make reservations. Like when you're doing a painting, be like, I know I want these here, and everything that leads to it, and you're bringing it forward. I don't think I'm not gonna do a sun. I don't think I usually do those effects a lot, but should be fine without it. Okay. When it comes to water and diluting it, cleaning brushes and things like that, I typically do three, like one big one for bigger brushes, one for lighter colors, one for like darker colors. But even that becomes its own rhythm where you're kind of dipping and going along, and you'll even learn to sort of mix with whichever water a little bit. You know, don't tell anyone I told you that, but sometimes that's how it happens. You kind of get a color off of your dirty brush. So, and in general, like, just don't be afraid of those things. There might be a time where it's hard to, you feel like it's messing up your paintings, the colors are impure, but like, and nature is too. So, like, even this blue, it's just a shadowy color, closer to the sky and clouds. Ooh, that's good. I have not yet decided if I want this to be like a snowy, just like snow-capped. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? To be honest, that color's kind of gross. This one that I did here. It's alright. It's sort of a mid-tone. It's not really a highlight even. What? Well, that color's actually that's a good color to blend with. So we'll keep doing that. But now that that silhouette of the mountain is laid out, we're gonna keep moving because I feel like something will come about as I finish the rest. So. Gonna do a lighter blue with that on the side. We're gonna do the burnt umber. This I'm kind of taking a risk with. This I just feel like is going to be a good idea to do this. This sort of turquoise. Yeah, not really your typical green, but it looks really nice. I'm in the zone right now, I'm being quiet. That's pretty interesting, like a hill like that. Okay. Change of plans, there's gonna be a tree right here. So that's good, I gotta show you guys how to do trees as well. Alright, but first let's cover in, yeah, these areas. You may have noticed this is actually an ink brush, but it's one of my favorites, even just for painting. So hopefully that is okay with everyone. I'm sure it is. That comes, I don't know at what point you start figuring stuff like that out, but really I bought it when I lived in Japan, and just as like an experimental thing, because I was like, oh, what kind of cool brush is that? And it's like one of my favorites. But now that I do experiment with ink more, it's pretty fitting. So we're taking this green up into that little corner of the hill and a little bit further up. Because, you know, on a long drive and you're looking at the mountains, the green always creeps up the mountain. I may or may not do snow at the top. I don't know if it'll take from the vibe. But this part we're just going to blend kind of carefully because it's at the point when things start getting closer to the eye. It's like the middle range, and that's a little bit tricky sometimes. At least for me, I've noticed. Like I'm good at far and up close, but the better you get at mixing or creating the illusion of a middle space in the painting, and really what I think that is it's easy to have too much fun and get carried away, and then you forget, like, oh, there's supposed to be like there's supposed to be a third layer, and I've only done the farthest, the furthest, and the closest. But even then, that doesn't mean that doesn't make bad art either. It's just make sure you don't lose any effects and your excitement. Okay. Hopefully the camera's gonna pick this up, but I'm doing as much as the tree on the top, also down on the bottom is gonna be like a blue, like a lake. Nice and turquoise. Keeping the don't completely smother that underlayer either. Oh, it's pretty blue. Yeah, right as I say it. Only because it gives a it gives it quality. It gives it depth. It reflects the mountains and naturally does certain little things that happen in nature. Just have to be careful about the angle of the water. You have to make sure it makes sense. And that's just one of those things that you'll pick up on the more you paint. Oh, cover that there, put some more greenery here. So yeah, my way is, I do plan as I go quite a bit, but that's perfectly fine. We're just darkening this edge of the water. So good. Blend it in too. Reflections on this one. We'll get into that. This one's going to be a little different because there's going to be such a big tree in the background. But the water's flowing behind this little rock thing. So that's good. Now I'm just adding some shadow areas. Don't go overboard outlining things, but unless that's your style. But I'm just checking the camera. All right, now we're doing the tree. So tree is just burnt umber and black, mixed in with a little of whatever's on the brush already. Trees are very quirky and sort of just paint themselves. So watch. I want it to be a big guy. There, so it has its a nice trunk. It might be a little weird to see, but I'm sort of just rolling. I'm loading the brush up with paint, and then I kind of roll it as I bring it along where I need it to go. Oh, so trees are like string cheese. You when you peel it back, you know, all the strings of the cheese equal the trunk. Try to just keep that in mind the best you can. I think Da Vinci said it in a much more like intense way, but essentially he meant I think he meant trees are string cheese. Oh gosh. Uh-oh. It's pretty gnarly too, but I think that's pretty good. That's good for like its outline. Yeah, okay. And all that is just with like a basic round brush. So I'm gonna add a little white to it. Normally you do like white paint. Another one you'll see me do a lot more of is I do unbleached titanium white a lot. I really like that color. Because pure white is pure white occurs in nature, but usually what you're seeing is like a washed out white, and so I just think it has a nice vibe to it. Looking for it. Here it is. And then burnt sienna, like a little reddish tone. Ooh. Cool. So, with the details, I just dropped the brush size, not even that much smaller. And, oh, you know what, that's not quite it. I don't like that. We're doing the unbleached titanium after all. It's just like some burnt sienna. So with a loaded up brush too, just pick where the light is. And you're kind of just pulling it down across. And it keeps all its little marble effects. And even that color's a bit bright, so I just darkened it. This also fills up any patches you'll see in the tree. And it increases the effect of the illusion of things. Down. I like that, just how it is. Now, just add a little more to the water. I'm going to take some yellow and give some of the foreground a little more life to it. Don't want to overdo it on the shadowy side, but that's probably good. I've forgotten this is paper. We are going to do a little effect here on that edge where it's dark, because it's going to make that it's going to make it pop out quite a bit. Just a brighter value right there. As it gets further away though, we don't want to add too much. This in itself is probably one of the most satisfying things I think about painting, is adding the details with the tree or the grass and the greens. But it takes a little bit to get it right. It took me a while too, because you want your brush to be quite like loaded up, but you're not. You're being very light when you apply it. So you have this brush full of paint, but you're just sort of gently touching the canvas with it. And that's how you get some of the effects. You also kind of want a brush that you trust, that you know it's going to do the thing that you want it to do. Or just send it. You have to try it out. You just have to test all the different things. So this is cool. This is a nice little effect. So I think last, and of course I'm probably going to clean it up a little bit and after the video is over, but I'm going to add some leaves, some cherry blossoms. With that though, we're going to do magenta rather than straight up pink. A little bit of red. And so I'm going to do it with a brush like this. Very rough, almost straw, really used up. And that should give me the effect I want. And we're just going to drop a little bit of white in. A little bit more. So kind of same as the bushes and plants, things like that, that little texture. You're just going to kind of trust the process of it. It's a really loaded up brush, but you're just gently, especially with cherry blossoms, because they have a certain they're not like other leaves. Well, you are leaves more than the others. You are like stabbing it in a way. You're kind of stamping it in rather. So that one has like a sharper texture on that side, but that's okay. It's fixable. I'm gonna drop some white in. that's like so easy to do. Just right over the top. And acrylic dries so fast, you don't have to worry as much with this effect about it. Turn it into mud. With that said though, we're gonna do like bigger ones. I'm gonna dot up like it's all falling around that sides. We're even gonna put some in the water. Which is nice because that first layer, that undertone, looks pink, and so it already is going to give this effect. And that was kind of by chance because I didn't plan the cherry blossom, but it just came about. And that's why you kind of have to, you know, whether you call it intuition, this, that, and the other. Painting is very much a thing about trusting yourself, and that's, I think, what it develops the most in a person's character. But, you know, that's just how I see it. So, without going overboard, I'll probably fix this up a little bit. I'll add some more shadows and things like that on the side and more light, and that's sort of the end thing. You add the more, you give it some more contrast, you add more brighter lights, darker darks if it needs any. These look more like rocks than mountains because the size of the tree, but you know, that's okay. And I'll probably add a little bit more glow behind it, but as it were, that's the result. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm new at this. I actually really like this outcome, doing the one-shot take painting videos, so I'm probably gonna do more. If you have any recommended landscapes or things you want to learn how to paint, how I do it, I'll probably post this online, the finished up version, so you could kind of see the outcome. Because even something like this I did so quick, you could really add finishing touches that really bring the magic out of a piece. So don't doubt that last step. We'll get more into those types of things in other videos, but thank you so much for watching, and yeah, happy painting.